Hey there guys, here with Bo, and thank you for tuning in to another video. And today we're going to be covering a crazy twist and turn with another Satoshi Nakamoto candidate coming out as a result of the case in the United States between Kleiman and CSW. This one is truly fascinating and one that I've researched heavily for this video. This video is going to be one of either a 2 or a 3-part series because of how much information is out there on this guy and how this relates to the current case. We're going to start off by going through this news article here. Another self-proclaimed Satoshi appears in the high-profile Bitcoin lawsuit, and then we're going to go into a lot of research and information I have dug on the web in relation to this guy and his credibility and claims, and it is some truly fascinating stuff. So stick around, guys. Thank you for tuning in, and let's get started. Welcome back to the video, everyone. You are here with Bo Stoner from Cryptocurrency Australia, the channel where Bitcoin, economics, and politics comes together. Now, here we have this article here. Another self-proclaimed Satoshi appears in the high-profile Bitcoin lawsuit, and we're going to get into that. But just a quick mention from my channel sponsor, Crypto.com. Really good supporters of this channel, and I appreciate them immensely. They have an all-in-one application on the phone. It's a crypto wallet. You can also order digital cards with it. I believe they're coming to Australia soon. We have some recent news related to Australia. I have this tweet here. G'day mate, Crypto.com extends the pay gift card offering to Australia. Get up to 10% back when you purchase gift cards with CRO, including favorites like David Jones, App Store and iTunes, JB Hi-Fi, Maya and Coles. Guys, if you want to check out Crypto.com, there is a link down in the description below. Now back to this article here, guys. Like I said, there is so much to this that I've decided to divide this up into either 2, potentially into a 3-part series. We're going to get into the first part of this article, and then we're going to get into some of the research I've done around this guy. And guys, you're going to be blown away. It is truly, truly fascinating stuff. So here we go. A new filing has been submitted to the ongoing Kleiman vs. Wright case stemming from a man who claims to be Satoshi Nakamoto. The man, named Debo Jurgen Etienne Guido, has sent handwritten testimony to the Southern District of Florida courthouse asserting that he is the genuine and only originator creator of the Genesis block that started the Bitcoin network in 2009. The high-profile billion-dollar Bitcoin lawsuit continues this week as an interesting filing was submitted to the court on July 22nd. The lawsuit involves the family of the now deceased David Kleiman and his multi-year business relationship with the self-proclaimed Bitcoin inventor, Craig Wright. The Kleimans have accused Wright of manipulating David's Bitcoin inheritance and a vast amount of intellectual property. Florida court case Kleiman vs. Wright revolves around an alleged trust that purportedly holds 1 million Bitcoin. However, on July 11th, news.bitcoin.com reported on the Kleiman estate's witness, Dr. Matthew Edman, a cryptography expert, who found a slew of discrepancies within Wright's submitted evidence, like document modification and other backdated materials. Following the testimony from Edman on Monday, July 22nd, another filing was submitted to the court, which adds a new twist. According to the filing, Debo Jurgen Etienne Guido, a man who resides in Belgium, has sent a written testimony to Judge Bruce Reinhardt claiming to be Satoshi Nakamoto. Debo's handwritten letter contends that he was the inventor of the Bitcoin technology, the originator who initiated the Genesis block, author of the white paper, and owner of the gmx.com email handle. The letter states, "I hereby testify by written letter I am the genuine and only originator creator of the Genesis block of the Bitcoin blockchain. I use the handle Satoshi Nakamoto and mail satoshin@gmx.com to write and publish the white paper." And here we have an excerpt of his written letter. PGB key trust signed by an inner circle and distributed with early versions of Bitcoin. Debo also states that he generated the PGP key, and he claims the key was trust signed by an inner circle of people. The self-proclaimed Bitcoin inventor has been telling the public he is Satoshi for quite some time now. Debo has used a Twitter account called @RealSatoshi in 2015. For instance, before Debo's letter was filed in court on July 4th, 2019, he tweeted that his PGP key was trust signed by Hal Finney, Gavin Andreessen, Peter Todd, and Vladimir van der Laan. Following Debo's statements on Twitter, Bitcoin core developer Vladimir van der Laan joined in on Debo's Twitter thread and spoke about the key. We're going to get into this in just a bit. He says there are no known messages signed by that key, but it was distributed along with early Bitcoin, so it could be Satoshi's real key. But mind the uncertainty, Vladimir said, responding to Debo's key statements. My signing it was a mistake about how GPG Web of Trust is supposed to work at that time, and I revoked it later. Bitcoin's lead maintainer detailed. And here we have an image that says here that this key was revoked on May the 2nd, 2016, the same day that Gavin Andreessen told the community that he witnessed proof from Craig Wright in London. Core developers revoked Andreessen's comment access to the Bitcoin Core project as well. Isn't that interesting that this key was revoked on the exact day that Gavin Andreessen told the community that he witnessed proof from Craig Wright in London? Very, very coincidental. Searching the PGP key database on the MIT servers shows that Debo's key was tethered to the email address satoshin@gmx.com and other emails with the Satoshi name in them. There are two specific dates that are associated with the key, which include October the 30th, 2008 and January the 3rd, 2009. Those two dates represent the day before the white paper was published online on Halloween 2008 and the birth of the Genesis block on January the 3rd. Like Vladimir said in his tweet, the MIT server shows that he did revoke the key on May the 2nd, 2016, as the key was coincidentally revoked the same day Gavin Andreessen was removed as a core maintainer. So, as you can see, guys, this is, just reading through the article before we go into all the research I've done. This is some very, very interesting information coming to light. Like I said was going to happen when you have, although this hasn't happened through discovery, these court cases when they're high profile, they bring information to light that has been in the dark for a long time. And the fact that this guy has handwritten to the court to state and is prepared to testify is a huge deal on its own. But the fact that his key that he has said is his was proven to be attached to the original email address that Satoshi was using is nothing short of fascinating. But guys, there's a lot more to this story, and there's a lot more to this guy, this Debo, Jurgen, Etienne, Guido, which we're going to get into right now. So over here on Twitter, this is Jurgen's official Twitter account. He joined in November 2015, and you can see here that he's put his location at Belgium. His bio reads, "Wisdom is inside the heart," and he is hashtagged Satoshi Nakamoto. He says his name here is Jurgen Etienne Guido Debo. It is capitalized, the Debo, which I feel is interesting, and he has his PGP key there. Now, I have gone through and I've highlighted the most relevant tweets from Jurgen in relation to the lead up to him submitting the handwritten letter to the courts. And we're going to go through those one by one. So on July the 1st, Jurgen says the following: "I think the time is right to put CSW behind bars. It seems he did a legal oath on the court of Florida to claim to be me, Satoshi Nakamoto. As Belgian, I am not bound to the USA court. However, I am willing to testify to the lawyers of Kleiman in court. I am Satoshi N." And he says here, "I tried to find the lawyers to someone has a reference. I find only court case. I nail that liar, Satoshi." Now, I want you guys to note the poor English, okay? Keep that in the back of your mind because we're going to go into that and address that issue. But just keep that in the back of your mind that this is broken English because this guy, this Jurgen, is apparently from Belgium. On May the 22nd, he says the following: "Well, I claim I am Satoshi Nakamoto, author of Bitcoin.pdf. I was active way before 2008 in the peer-to-peer community. I created with Hal Finney the first prototype in C, and he's talking about C++, the coding language used for Bitcoin. I have private keys of the Genesis, my PGP key, he says some of the numbers there. I can recompose the Genesis hash. CW is an imposter. He says here, so Craig Wright, invite me to your court case. My real name is Jurgen Etienne Guido Debo, born in 1969, Belgium, close to Germany and Switzerland. Be sure I ask the judge to swear by oath. Then I put you in your underwear so you can join, and he says hashtag prison. Next tweet. This was on July the 1st. For the records, I do not know how many fake Toshi will claim to be me, but there is only one. I am not related to Tulip Trust, that is in relation to the court case, not related to Dave Kleiman or Craig Wright. For sure, not to Phil Wilson. Those people do not have private keys. All wannabe people, hashtag Satoshi. He says here, clearly the BSV promoting team is pissed off because I state the fake Toshi do not have the private keys of the Genesis, my PGP key, and actually no access at all to my whale wallet. Well, people, deal with it. Now, keeping in mind, like I said, that the English is broken and the tone is different as well, and we're going to get into that. But first of all, I want to look at some responses from some people on Bitcoin Talk to this claim by Jurgen, because I find it interesting. So one person says here, and what he's done is he's taken an image of the handwritten letter that Jurgen submitted to the court. He says, interesting, even if barely legible, and ultimately just nonsense. I spent a bit reading through the guy's tweets, and his English isn't as good as Satoshi's. He makes basic grammatical mistakes, whereas Satoshi's English was near flawless, indicative of a native speaker. Now, I actually went and had a look at Seeking Satoshi, this guy at Jimmy007 for sure, make sure you follow him, is doing a lot of research on the CSW case. And I found this tweet, it is not related to Jurgen at all, but it reinforces the point around the English. So he says here, Satoshi was careful and meticulous. He never gave away any hints about his name or location. He was extremely private and reserved. He is not about to release some poorly written, pointless press release doxing himself and then sign off with his name and mobile number. Now, again, this is not related to Jurgen, but I wanted to, I value Jimmy's input into this because he's done a lot of research on Satoshi and on the CSW case. And the message here is the important point. So Satoshi was careful and meticulous. Now, coming back here. He says, and then you have these reply tweets from a couple of prominent Bitcoin developers regarding the PGP got offered up by Debo. Here's where I think things start to get very interesting because you've got two highly prominent Bitcoin core developers that have been around pretty much since the start responding, and their responses are fascinating. So Jurgen says here on July the 4th, for the record, my PGP key, the world knows, is the following. It is not at all the anti-dated and unsigned RSA, and he puts a key there. He says, yes, my PGP key is this, was trust signed by Hal Finney, Gavin Andreessen, Peter Todd, and Vladimir Vanderlaan. And Vladimir actually responds here and says, for what it's worth, there are no known messages signed by that key, but it was distributed along with early Bitcoin. So it could be Satoshi's real key. Mind the uncertainty, my signing, it was a mistake about how GPG Web of Trust is supposed to work at the time, and I revoked it later. So the fact that Vladimir has actually responded to this and, supports the fact that this key was distributed early is extremely interesting because it gets more interesting than that. Peter Todd responds as well and confirms, he says, I signed it based on circumstantial evidence that I still believe. PGP WOT isn't a strict protocol. Use your common sense in interpreting it. That said, I have no reason to think that the Twitter account at RealSatoshiN is really Satoshi Nakamoto. Very, very fascinating stuff. And someone says here, out of curiosity, what was the circumstantial evidence? And Peter Todd says, being present on the bitcoin.org website way back in the day. Fascinating stuff that two prominent core Bitcoin developers have responded to this guy. Very, very interesting stuff. Moving on. here is another tweet in relation to the poor English. So when I said, as we're reading through these tweets, to pay attention to his English, here's where things start getting even more interesting. Satoshi says here, well, Jurgen says here, I should clarify. Quote, I sat next to Finney again and asked him, in this sense of open source contribution, he did consider himself one of the creators of Bitcoin. He raised his eyes and eyebrows. Then I asked him if he was proud of that work. Then he raised his eyes again, and then he smiled. I always confirmed, Hal did write the first prototype of my invention. Nothing new here. However, it shows the heart of that man, and I was happy to read. He was proud. So, essentially what he's saying is he did not write the white paper. What he is claiming is that he invented Bitcoin, but Hal Finney wrote the white paper. Hal Finney was based in the United States, and that would, if this was true, that would be the bridge between the broken English and what we've seen put out publicly in relation to the old Satoshi Nakamoto and the white paper. This guy, what he's saying is, I invented it, someone else wrote the white paper, which is why you may see the differences in, well, why there is the huge differences in the English in the white paper. Now let's delve more into this guy, because I've searched thoroughly on the internet and I've found some truly fascinating stuff around this guy. So he has responded on June the 14th, only recently, on a Quora post, who is Satoshi Nakamoto and what country is he from? And this answer is so interesting. He writes, I am Satoshi Nakamoto, the genuine one. My real name is Jurgen Etienne Guido Debo, born in Belgium. The author and writer of the Bitcoin.pdf. I created the Genesis, was the originator of Bitcoin and blockchain. I registered in case of dispute and to prove at the right time the Bitcoin.pdf before the date of publication on the internet at a Belgian notary office. This has legal consequences to prove authorship and copyright, since copyright is granted at creation, not at registration. But registration can be useful to prove the date of creation. This is different with patents. However, those are at the moment empty words because proof need to be provided, not words, politics, or belief. This will be done in time, and I choose that time. For this, I have encoded personal data in the Genesis block. I have a PGP key, and I have the private key of the Genesis block of the blockchain. The Genesis block cannot be moved or transact, but it can be used to sign a message. I'm the only man in the world who knows how the Genesis block is made and composed. So far, many speculation was done about my identity. In fact, my identity is not that important because the project is decentralized and open source. Dorian Nakamoto was victim of speculation but quickly denied after I posted a message. I am not Dorian. Now, this is true because over here on the Peer-to-Peer Foundation, when Dorian Nakamoto first was alleged to be Satoshi Nakamoto, there was a response from the official Satoshi Nakamoto account that says, I am not Dorian Nakamoto, and that was on March the 7th, 2014. So here we have it here on the Peer-to-Peer Foundation. That is the response. Now, anyone could claim that they made that response, but I thought it would be interesting to actually back it up and show that that post was made. Okay, reading on. Later on, Dr. CSW did try and still does to impersonate me, but the man has no single private key, not even access to my whale wallet. His last steps was to register my about 10 years old white paper on his own name in a copyright service in the States, but the people of the government do not check if the registration is valid or proven. As on the white paper, there is no bindings with the pen name Satoshi Nakamoto and CSW. He launched in 2019 a website claiming to be me, Satoshi Nakamoto, and in a desperate attempt to cure his altcoin BSV, born from a hard fork of Bitcoin Cash, when the hard fork did happen, clearly losing the battle, he did beg the community to convert Bitcoin Core into his BSV. If he was me, Satoshi Nakamoto, he could use my whale wallet, of course. Previously, the man failed to digitally sign with the private keys of the Genesis, the PGP key, or to transact Bitcoin from the whale wallet. Many other candidates did deny themselves not to be me, like Mr. Dave Kleiman, Hal Finney. Some others are in the running to claim to be me, but nobody has the private keys. It is true, I did mine with Harold T. Finney, the first blocks in test and finally in production. I own a whale wallet that is considerably large. The purpose of the whale wallet will be in time, without to disturb the project and the markets, to fund for about 93% of its resources to innovation and improvement in general of humankind. I will only assign 7% to my own benefit. I am from Belgium. That is the reason why I did use the German service GMX at that time, but also because I did not trust the services in the States. In my country, we do learn British English, and indeed we learned in school to use double space after a dot. Something people did remark: because I was 5 years in the army, I speak pretty often in the plural form. I do believe in egalitarianism and the fact that everyone on this planet is unique, special, and should have joy, comfort, and freedom to express that extent it does not breach the freedom of others. Satoshi Nakamoto is composed of the 15 letters of my first, third, and last name using an alteration of a Caesarean cipher. When I got the letters, I did look up Japanese words to create a meaning that reflects my vision. Satoshi Nakamoto, which means the clear vision, wisdom, is in dissenter, your heart. In the early days, I did use open proxies, Tor, to hide my tracks on IRC and boards, including MUT as email client on a remote server to mail with PGP signing. That is also the reason why I do have a PGP key. I foresee to provide proof this or next year. It depends on the markets and my plans, as when I prove without doubt, it has implications on my privacy. Satoshi N. So interesting, so interesting. What I personally found one of the most interesting parts was how he derived the name Satoshi Nakamoto. Fascinating. And what you're going to see is this has actually been mentioned by, allegedly, this person many years ago. This is what I found. This was in response to someone claiming CSW was Satoshi Nakamoto. This was in May 2016, okay? Remember that date, May 2016. He says, your article takes too much greedy the name Satoshi Nakamoto in the mouth. And I should mention, this is pretty broken English, guys, so just keep that in mind. There is only one Satoshi Nakamoto, and that's me, who owns the PGP key. Nobody else is able to change the PGP key so far. I see no changes in the MIT database. Some months ago, I did step in because I did worry about the changes in block size. I started to upload my keys. Things did change in the database. Now, when he says here that I did step in, could he be referring to the fact that the PGP key was revoked? Because this was on May the 2nd, 2016, the same day Gavin Andreessen told the community that he witnessed proof from CSW in London. Keep that in mind, guys. This is on May the 3rd. This is the day after. Fascinating. He says, same time, I sent a hard disk for recovery to a German service. Maybe there was a subkey on it, I do not know. But I say this, I took extra safety measures. First, I was smart enough to register a PGP signed copy of my bitcoin.pdf in a non-disputable way. Second, the handle is Satoshi Nakamoto, 15 letters, is an alternation of a Caesarean cipher, where I did substitute n equals 13 by n equals f of x, where f of x equals g, row and columns of my full name, Debo, Jurgen, Guido. 15 letters in a square by 4 by 4. So if I do lose my keys, wallet, I have built-in security on the handle itself. Third, I told 8 months ago I have technical issues. Now I see the results. I did need to sign a noun by Pete. What I did, this abused. 4, I have many hack attempts, including my provider, but I know one thing for sure. I did not code the implementation of my scientific paper. Other people did it for me. I agree. A team. But my first contact was people such as Hal, and I had contact with Vladimir, later on with Gavin. But Hal did use my mailboxes, probably other people too. I am sure I signed most communications with my keys. What is not signed, this is Hal or a team member. I instructed to be a lifetime virtual president of the Bitcoin Foundation to vote by key. This was so in the early days of the organization. Early rules of the organization. As I did transfer the domain, bitcoin.org, I did register first. But if someone claims to be Satoshi Nakamoto, you do violated my copyright rights, not the implementation of Bitcoin. Blockchain makes you or anyone else Satoshi Nakamoto, but the one who can prove to have made the scientific paper. So for now, I look up what I did find, if it is not yet compromised or stolen. All the best. Debo Jurgen, aka Satoshi Nakamoto. So fascinating stuff, guys. This is on May the 4th, 2016. Remembering that this key was revoked on May the 2nd, 2016. So 2 days later, this pops up. Fascinating, guys. Just a couple more things before we finish up this part 1 of this video. Here I found him, allegedly him, if it is him, on a forum called Discus. Now, he writes some things in response to this post. Satoshi surge number 57, could Margaret Runty be Satoshi Nakamoto? And here it is. Here's an article from CCN. So this is him in response to that. You should consider to be grown up. No, I did publish only a scientific paper. And just look at this, guys. This was also 3 years ago, okay? Just important to note. Some did receive a digital signed copy of my paper. I did struggle to convince the peer-to-peer hackers, but finally they saw the value. Afterwards, I did contact some friends who are high skilled in BSD to attract the right guys to code. Gavin did lead. Peter Todd was one of my closed contact. Nobody did know my real name, as I was a virtual president board member of the Bitcoin Foundation for about 7 years. Anonymous by digital vote. I never did vote, as I did promise to reveal myself. I did. However, I instructed the core team that I would present my PGP keys as proof of identity. In the beginning, you are right. I did want to hide. For years, I did live a regular life. I was busy with spiritual issues, esotericism, and romance too. I was busy to teach some people either. As I was busy to struggle against my local government that loves to put people in golden cages and freeze them in low profile. Oh yes, this is Belgium. So now you know why I did register on GMX Germany, but I did use the proxies of Japan to chat or post. Whatever, I am not a materialistic man. I give a shite about money, but I give a lot about humankind, this world, and I have a strong belief. I'm one of the most rich people in this world because I know much more as many people, because I have vision, intuition, and I have a touch with the future. I know there is eternal life, not physical, but in soul. What people think about that, I do not care. Neither do I care to be a pop star or to be famous. To be rich, I do not care, because all this is temporary. I do not need proof myself to anyone. God knows what I did. That's enough. And those who really want to know the truth, well, maybe they will see in a few months or years, and if not, for sure, when you are in heaven, and you will all see. I did not lie at all. So why do I reveal now? Because Bitcoin is accepted as legal in most countries. Now, a lot of people, corporations, governments do see the value of my invention. My invention has the possibility to create a unified, strong, robust, and honest monetary system, as many extensions can be made on the blockchain. I post many of those thoughts on Twitter, such as to generate unconditional basic income collected on a special blockchain. Let's say a hook, extensions are already implemented, a Tobin tax hook on every transaction of Bitcoin. The blockchain is an IO stream that distributes back in equal parts a fee to all individualized, unique assigned, and personalized accounts. If you do read this, well, you understand. It will provide income to all people and rule out poverty. All the best, Satoshi N. So there you have it, guys. That is it for this video. We're 27 minutes in. As you can see, there is a lot to this and some incredibly interesting stuff. I'm like 50-50 at the moment, where what I'm finding fascinating is the fact that this guy was posting similar things and kind of giving more details to the overall story 3 and 4 years ago on different forums. That is what I find incredibly interesting. And the coincidences between the revocation of the PGP key around Gavin Andreessen in 2016 and him posting just a couple of days later. Extremely fascinating stuff. So guys, if you want to see part 2 of this video, which I can guarantee you is going to get even more interesting as we dig deeper and deeper into this potential Satoshi candidate, you're going to need to subscribe. Hit that little subscribe button and make sure you like the video so I know you want to see part 2, and leave a comment down below and tell me what you thought. That's it from me. My name's Bo. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers. If you enjoyed the video today, then please consider leaving a like. And if you haven't subscribed yet, then come on board and also click the notification icon so you're always kept up to date. Leave a comment and tell me your thoughts on today's content. Then check out this next interesting video picked just for you.